There's never been a better time to be a PC gamer, especially if you're always on the go. Gaming laptops today are cheaper and lighter and more powerful than ever before. And that's great news for students too, because it means these machines would be really great for 3D rendering or editing video, doing actual work while also getting some game time. You can find some general advice on choosing a gaming laptop in our guide, but here are a few options for you to consider if you just want to narrow things down a bit. And if you're wondering, yes, gaming laptops can be really great for schoolwork. That's because they typically have really powerful CPUs and GPUs, which, are great for games, but it also means they can do some really demanding work, like 3D rendering and video editing, as I mentioned. But also for programmers or anybody compiling large data sets, this hardware is what you want to have. Now you'll see some productivity laptops like Dell's XPS15 with some decent GPUs in there, but they also tend to be more expensive than some gaming laptops, and you'll sometimes find things on sale at Best Buy and other places too. So don't discount gaming laptops if you're actually looking for a powerful machine. My general advice, no matter what you're looking at, try to get a computer with at least 16 gigabytes of RAM and the biggest SSD you can find. I'd say at least 1 terabyte. Those components are pretty difficult to upgrade these days, so you want to get as much in there as you can from the beginning. There is one big downside to choosing a gaming laptop for school or work. They tend to be a little heavier than your typical ultra portable. We recommend 14 and 15-inch laptops, which give you a good balance of portability and screen size, but their sizes could range for anywhere from like 3.6 pounds to 4.5 pounds. Some creep all the way to 5 pounds. But you know what? Gaming laptops used to be close to 10 pounds. Regularly, if you wanted decent hardware in there, you'd have to lug a really, really heavy laptop around in a backpack. So we've come a long way. These are still far better than gaming laptops of the past. And if you don't want something that actually looks like a gaming laptop, there are plenty of subdued models out there without many LED lights or weird shiny keyboards. Keep your eyes out, there are a lot of options. And speaking of something pretty understated, there's the ASUS Zephyrus G14, which we call the best overall mid-range laptop for most people. We loved this computer when it came out a couple years ago, but now it's more powerful than ever. It's running with a Ryzen 9 6900HS CPU and AMD's Radeon 6700S GPU, which is a decent amount of power to play modern games in 1440p. That hardware should also be good enough for the 120Hz or 144Hz Quad HD screens on this computer, so everything will look pretty smooth, It is not too overpowered for those screens. It's not too underpowered either. Best of all, this year, even though you're paying more, you do have the benefit of a webcam, finally. The first model didn't have one, and that was kind of a bit of an oversight, I figure most people have an external webcam, but it is really nice to have one built into the computer. This one also supports Windows Hello, so you can just log in with your face. What's most impressive though is that the G14 is still pretty portable at between 3.6 and 3.8 pounds. If I were looking for a machine I'd want to carry around all day and just be able to play anywhere, I'd definitely go for the G14. But if I was aiming maybe a little more and want something more premium, I'm going to recommend the Razer Blade 15 once again. This is the computer we keep coming back to for anybody who wants a sort of MacBook Pro-like experience in a Windows PC. The overall case design hasn't changed much, but you know what? The build quality was always good, it always looked and felt great, and now has the benefit of all the latest hardware. Now you can plug in Intel's latest 12th generation processors, upgrade all the way to the NVIDIA RTX 3080 Ti GPU, and you can have your choice of 144Hz 4K, 240Hz Quad HD, or 360Hz 1080p screens. While you'll pay a bit more for the Razer Blade 15 compared to some other models, you've got a lot of different price points to work with. The entry-level model starts at $1799 with an RTX 3060 GPU and a 144Hz 1080p screen. That's certainly enough power for most games and creative apps. And if you're looking for something smaller, we reviewed the Razer Blade 14, which is a really compelling computer as well. It just doesn't have as good cooling and as big a keyboard as the Blade 15. Another great 14-inch option, if you're just looking for something that really looks cool, is Alienware's X14. This thing is incredibly thin at just 0.57 inches thick. It has a really gorgeous 1080p screen with Dolby Vision and HDR support, and it just looks cool. It looks really interesting. It is taking the sort of sci-fi aesthetic Alienware has been doing for a couple of years, kind of all the way to the extreme. It is a little heavier than the G14. It weighs slightly over 4 pounds, but I think the thinness and the overall power in there and the statement it makes it a very compelling option for some people, at least if you're looking for something with style. And if you're looking for a more budget-oriented computer, we've always loved the Dell G5 series, and once again, I'm going to recommend the G5 15. This time around, it has all the latest hardware you'd want. It has Intel's 12th generation chips, AMD's Ryzen 6000 CPUs, and NVIDIA's RTX 3000 series GPUs. Now, this thing isn't gonna look as cool or, premium compared to a lot of these other computers. The case is mostly plastic, the build quality is a little flimsy, but you know what, for the price, you're getting a decent amount of hardware in there. It starts at under $1,000, and it doesn't really get that much more expensive as you keep upgrading the hardware. Now, if money is no object and you just want all the coolest hardware that you can get right now, I would take a look at ASUS's Zephyrus Duo 16. This is yet another dual screen laptop from ASUS, but this is a new generation and it looks incredibly cool. And what's really interesting is that ASUS has just done a great job of really polishing this overall design. It doesn't feel like an experiment anymore. The big selling point is you've got two screens. You've got a 60-inch screen up top, which you can equip with a mini LED backlight to make it super, super bright. And there's a very wide 14-inch screen at the bottom. It also has all of the latest hardware that you would want too. It has AMD's latest Ryzen CPUs. It has NVIDIA's latest RTX 30 series GPUs. You can go all the way up to the fastest ones like the 3080 Ti. This is just a super powered computer that looks like overkill. It's not a subtle machine at all like the G14, but it also looks like it could do some serious business. I'd imagine having two screens is also super useful for anybody doing a lot of timeline work, either for audio or video editing. You could just have the timeline at the bottom or other windows, or maybe you could just play a Halo Infinite match on the main screen while watching your virtual lectures on the bottom screen. We won't tell anybody. Stay tuned to Engadget.com for more laptop guides and laptop reviews. And if you dug this video, please be sure to like and subscribe.